Hey everyone, and welcome to this basic tutorial on using Inform 7 from a blindness perspective. Now, a few things before I get started. Number one, I am not I guess I'm kind of a beginner to intermediate Inform coder, so this should not be expected to be a super comprehensive tutorial. This is mainly to get you going and give you an idea as to how you would use this if you're blind. Second, I only know how to use this for Windows. I don't know if it's accessible with Mac OS or Linux. I mean, obviously typing the code probably would be, obviously, but I don't know if the program itself is as accessible. And having said that, the Inform program isn't the most accessible. I will come out and say that, but the critical portions of it are in terms of being able to write code and compile it and things like that. Now, as to what Inform is a natural language programming language for writing interactive fiction games. And if you don't know what those are, they were, I believe, the very first computer games where you typed in commands and the computer would tell you what happened. And those were the first computer games I played back when I used to use a Braille Notes. I think it was the Braille Notes Empower in 2007 to 2008. And the interesting thing is you can make games with this program that will run on that device. That'll run on probably things like the PackMate. For those of you that know what that is, that was another blindness pocket PC device during that time. Hell, you could probably run these games on something really, really old as well. But yeah, so basically that's where I got started in terms of playing computer games, and I've wanted to make these types of games for quite a long time, but I remember trying to learn this at the age of 12 and crying because it was too complicated. And even now I'm 27 and it's a little daunting. But I'm going to go ahead now and run the program, and what I'm going to do for this tutorial is give you a basic look at the program itself, and then I will write a very basic game. The game won't make a whole lot of sense, but it should hopefully show you the things that are possible. So I'm going to go now here,
Start window,
and go to the Start menu, type in
Inform, app, press right.
Oh, I just had to press I.
Welcome to Inform. Dialog news from the IFTF. Open a recent item, create new, open a
Okay, so it's going to read a bunch of stuff. If I tab here,
list. June 21st to 23rd, 2024, Narroscope 2024 at the Strong National Museum of...
This is news from some competition, I think, or the Interactive Fiction Foundation, or whatever it's called.
Test.inform button.
This was what I was working on before. We'll just ignore that. If you click on it, it would run the project, and you could read the code.
Open button.
If you have an existing project, you can open it.
Project button.
That's the new project button.
Extension button.
I think you can make a new extension. Extensions are chunks of code that enhance the gameplay experience. I don't know how to make them. I don't even know how to use most of them. Like I said, I am not a competent coder in Inform.
Onyx, a small project button.
This is an example project that you can look at. You can actually play this, and it will compile into a playable game, and you can examine the code.
Disenchantment Bay, a medium project button.
That's another example.
Browse Inform projects with public source at IFDB button.
So I think that takes you to IFDB, that takes you to the website.
Bullet new to Inform button.
Here's some help that you can read.
Bullet upgrading button, bullet keyboard shortcuts button.
I do recommend taking a look at this. I'll tell you the ones I think are the most prevalent, but you can go in here. It is accessible. It just lists things as a table.
Bullet structure of dot materials folder button.
This tells you the structure of the output folders.
Bullet credits button. Bullet home page at www.inform7.com button.
Inform 7 is the official website, though this is on GitHub. So I think I'll link to GitHub as well.
Bullet inform at IFDB, the interactive fiction database button. Bullet inform Q&A at the interactive fiction forum button.
Okay, these are links to some sites.
Bullet if wiki button. Bullet planet if blog aggregator button. Bullet if competition button.
I have competition. That's a competition that they hold every year, and you can submit your games. I'm thinking about participating in one of them if I can actually make my game and get it out there, but I guess we'll see. I just don't think I have the patience, but...
Bullet open source at GitHub, with links to bug tracker button.
There's the thing for GitHub.
News from the IFT list.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit... You could hit the project button, or you could just hit Control-N. Or actually...
Test open project button.
Actually, you can't do that. You just have to hit project.
Start a new project dialog. The name of the new project, edit blank.
Okay, we're going to call this... let's just call this... how about Assassin Example?
The author's name edit selected Christopher Wright.
You can type your name in here. I think you can keep this blank. I'm just going to leave my name there.
Start button. As an example inform panels tab control edit multi-line blank.
And I can't type. Let me close this out and do it again.
Audacity. Start window.
Let me make sure I'm recording.
Recording. Clear. Search. Inform. Welcome to list. As an example open project button. Start a new project dialog. The name of the Assassin example. The author's name edit selected Christopher Wright.
Oh, and I did forget, if you keep tabbing here.
Start button. Cancel button. The directory in which the new project will be created edit selected C. Users Write downloads button.
That button will let you browse.
The name of the new project.
I'm just going to leave it in downloads. That's fine.
Start button. Assassin example inform panels tab control edit multi-line blank.
So here we are in the box where I can begin to write. If I hit Control Home,
Assassin example by Christopher Wright.
The top line is the title and the author.
Blank.
There's a blank line.
Blank.
And then you can begin typing. Now, just to give you an idea here, I'm going to press F6.
Panels tab control documentation page.
Which that takes me to documentation. This is a little weird, and this is what I mean by this program not being completely accessible. There are some places where you'll have to use the review cursor in NVDA. I guess you could probably use the JAWS cursor or the touch cursor in JAWS. F6 will cycle between the two panes. I believe there's one on the left which has your code, and then the one on the right.
Panels tab control edit multi.
If I hit control and the F keys take you to different places. I've found you don't need to worry about too many of them, because things like the index and the skein, I believe is how you pronounce it, those don't seem to be accessible to a blind user, so don't concern yourself with those. But if I hit Control F6,
pane contents to get missing image descriptions.
Now this is the documentation. If I hit Control Home,
to get missing image blank documentation. 2 complete books about Inform. Writing with Inform, a comprehensive introduction. The Inform recipe book, practical solutions for authors to use. Table with 1 row and 2 columns. Link show. Writing with Inform. Out of table link show. Link 1. Welcome to Inform.
if I hit
Link
show.
Link 1. Welcome. Link 1.1. Preface. Link 1.2. Acknowledgements.
This expands all the categories. You can also jump by links.
1.3. The facing pages link.
So if I press K,
1.4. The go button link. 1.5. The replay button link.
this documentation is pretty extensive and it might be a little daunting. There is another resource that you can check out that I found helpful. This is a PDF that someone wrote. It's called the Inform 7 Handbook. It goes through lots of practical examples on how to do lots of things. The main appeal with the documentation is you can look through it, and there are tons of practical examples that you can look at. So like if I go to
show
jump by
link,
links.
4 kinds link, 5 text link,
Let's go
show 3
to
things link,
things. Here's
3.1
chapter 3.
table with one hookup.hook paste at 2x.png link,
Okay, now
table with 1 row and 3 columns hook right.png link.
this, like I said, this is not the most accessible interface. I believe that's the link that takes you to the next section.
Hookup.png visited link.
If you go up, that takes you to the start of the chapter.
Chapter 3 things visited link, hook right paste at 2x.png link.
Okay, this is a paste link.
The Cobble Crawl is a room, which might be exploration. Forerunner of today's if is generally agreed to be a edits 3.1 descriptions.
This is text.
At its simplest, the interactive fiction will be simulating a physical world to explore. The forerunner of today's if is generally agreed to be a computer simulation by Will Crowther of the exploration of a cave system in the Mammoth and Flintridge chain of cave.
Right, blah, blah, blah. If you see paste links or create links, that means that you can click on those and it will paste or create a new project with the text of that example. And I do recommend doing that.
Paste at 2x.
So it's like if I jump by links here.
2 link, star example book link. Testing to make sure that all objects have been given descriptions.
If you see these star characters,
Link star example bic.
like this, if you press enter right here, it will expand it.
Testing to make link RB. It may occasionally be useful to check whether all objects in our game have a given property. Here, we have a nod for release section that will run at the start of the game and alert us to any objects lacking description. Link paste at 2x.png.
That's the paste link that will paste the contents of a particular example into the current document.
Link create at 2x.png bic.
And create will create a new project and paste the contents of the example into it. So I do recommend using this as a resource because it will paste the formatting correctly so that it will actually run. So I'm going to hit F6.
Panels tab control documentation page.
Or actually, okay, that's not going to work. Let me hit Control F1.
Edit multi-line assassin example by Christopher Wright.
Which takes me back to the source code page. The only other thing I can think of that you might want to look at is the options. So if I hit Control F8.
Settings dialog version, story file format grouping, GLOX, large and multimedia projects, most capable, radio button checked.
So GLOX, and I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but that's how the computer is. That's how the speech I'm using is. That is a modern system for creating these types of games. You can make projects that are quite a bit more complex and much larger. This is probably what most people should stick to. Though, for this example and for the game that I want to make, I'm going to go up arrow here.
Z code version 8, medium-sized textual projects, most portable, radio button checked.
This is Z code, which is a VM. So these are both, from my understanding, they're both virtual machines. Meaning basically the games you generate are basically programs that you have to run inside of an interpreter program, and then you can play the game. The advantage to that is you can play these on pretty much any operating system that has an interpreter program. So if you're on the iPhone, you can use Frotz. If you're on Windows, you can use Windows Frotz or Electrote. If you're on Mac OS, you can use Spatterlight. If you have something like a Braille Note Apex or an Empower, you could play these files in the interpreter they have there. It just depends on what you want to use. If I tab here,
bind up into a blorb file on release checkbox checked.
A blorb file is a package that I believe includes the game as well as any other content, like graphics and sounds. I believe Glux is the only format that supports pictures and sounds. I'm going to uncheck this because there may be some interpreters that don't support blorb type of files. Now, there is the requirement though that if you're releasing the game with a web-based interpreter, you have to check this. But as of right now, I'm going to turn this off.
Not checked. Randomness grouping. Make random outcomes predictable when testing checkbox not checked.
I'm not sure what that is.
Language version grouping. Language version combo box current collapsed. Basic inform grouping. Use basic inform.
Yeah, so I'm going to leave the rest of these alone and hit Control F1 to go back to the source.
Edit multi-line.
So for Glux, if you have it blorbed, it will generate a .gblorb file. Without blorb enabled, it's I believe it's a .ulx file. Zcode is, with a blorb file, it's .zblorb or zblorb, and I do apologize for my stutter. And of course, without the blorb turned on, it is .z8. So again, you could take a .z8 game made with this program and play it on, say, something like a Braille note, which is pretty cool. So now that I've pretty much covered all the major stuff that you need to know, really, to use the program itself, let's actually start tackling how to code here. So I'm going to hit Control End
blank
to go to the bottom. And because you can only write in a single file, it's good practice to organize it by sections. So I'm going to do that. So let's see, the first section, I'll just write section 1 dash, we'll call this out of world stuff. And press enter twice. By the way, I will be providing the code so that you can see exactly how this game runs and you can hopefully learn from it. So in this section, we're going to do a few things here. Let's start out with use memory economy.
Use memory economy blank.
I'll press end to get to the bottom of that line and press enter. This, from what I can tell, makes the project a little smaller and is necessary in the Z code format. If you find that your projects are getting too big, you can use this and give yourself a bit more room to work, but at that point you should probably use Glux or break it up into multiple games. Let's see, what else? Let's do use American dialect.
Use American dialect blank.
Which will make it print messages in a more traditional way that an American reader would expect, because I believe this program was made by a guy in England, if I'm not mistaken.
Blank.
So we'll press enter. What else do I need to do here? Let's do use the serial comma, which is probably not necessary in this game, but we'll put that there. I believe that adds the comma before the last portion of something. So like if it says you can see blah 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 and blah here, it will add a comma to the end, or right before the and
dot blank.
All right, so
You blank. Section 1. Out of world stuff. Use memory economy. Use American dialect. Use the serial comma. Use the serial comma. Blank.
okay, I'm going to press N, go to the bottom, new line. Let's see. So I'm trying to keep this as basic as I can right now. So the thing is, though, even though this might seem natural, it's still a programming language. So if you don't type something correctly, it won't know what you're trying to do. So this is still a programming language, but it is one that I can actually tolerate in most cases. Let's see, what else can we do? Let's just let's make some quick text that plays when you load the game. So we'll type when play begins. And actually, I do need to do this. Let's see. Yeah, so when play begins.
When play begins.
And then I will add a colon.
Blank colon S begin EBEGINS colon blank.
And again, if you have the text, you can read it as I'm explaining it, and it might make things a lot easier.
Blank.
When play begins, make a new line. You technically don't have to make new lines like this all the time. I find it's easier for me because if I need to find a specific line to troubleshoot a problem, it makes it easier on me. Let's see, say, and then a quote, because if you're going to print text, of course, it always has to be in quotes. So we'll say, so in this example, let's just say that your brother is the king and he's a tyrant and he poisons you. And for some reason, which we're not going to talk about because this is a basic game, you manage to survive, but you're dying. And you find a sword, because you just do. And you're going to come back and take him out and basically become the new king of the land. Now, obviously, if you're making a real game, you'd probably want to plot out the story a lot better. But the beauty of interactive fiction, of course, is that you can write pretty much anything you want, because the idea is that you are the main character and you take control of the character and you do things to advance the story. Or you might do things and die, but that's the whole point, is that you are the one in control of the story. So let's just say, just for something brief here, your brother...
Say your brother blank
tried to poison you. And in fact, has nearly succeeded. You are only hours away from death if you can't find a cure. Just write a bit more here, just for some examples here. Fortunately,
blank.
You were able to escape since he was such an idiot and thought you'd die immediately. And you've found a sword. You find yourself
blank
in the antechamber, preparing to take him out. Right, okay, so not the greatest thing to write, but this is just an example, so just bear with me and the stupid story that I'm making. So this is text that will play, or that will be printed when you load the game file. So typically you might want to do this if you're beginning, because you can write your when you're starting, you can print some text and have some backstory and explain what's happening, and then after that's done, of course, that's when you, the player, take control of the main protagonist in the story. So
Quote blank.
there we go. So you have that in there. And I think that'll do for the starting story.
Blank.
Now I'm going to press enter twice
You can't
here.
find.
So now we'll do section 2 dash the map. And make 2 blank lines here. And we'll start by defining the starting room. So in interactive fiction, the all the action happens inside of a room. Well, the term Inform uses is a room. It doesn't necessarily have to be an indoor room. It could be outside. It could be a field. It could be a parking lot. It could be another planet. But basically, for the purposes of coding and gameplay, they are called rooms, and basically you can travel between rooms. You can pick up things, and then you can use them to solve puzzles or do
It's 6 o'clock p.m.
other things. And thank you, Steve, for the time announcement. Actually, that will keep me on track. So basically, the game has to take place inside of rooms. Now, this game, being very basic, will have 2 rooms. Technically, it will have 3, but one of them you won't be able to go to because it's outside the scope of the story. But I'm going to put it there so that I can print some messages that say that you can't go there. So let's start out here. The antechamber is a room. The description
Blank.
is this is a very boring chamber and serves only as a buffer between the rest of the palace and the throne room. The palace is south, and the throne room is north. Right? So that will be printed when you examine using the command to look around. Right, so
The description is this is a very boring chamber and serves only as a buffer between the rest of the palace and the throne room. The palace is south and the throne room is north.
right, so we're going to do that.
Quote blank. The throne room.
And then we're going to say the palace is south of the
Thron blank.
is south of the antechamber.
The palace is P.
Let me change that to a capital just because.
The palace is south of the antechamber. Blank.
Okay, I'm not going to bother making a description for that because it's not a place that we'll visit. And what that does basically, if you tell Inform that something is adjacent to something else, that will by default create a two-way connection.
The palace is south of the antechamber. Blank.
So I could go to the south, and then I could go into the palace, and if I went back north, I would be back in the location where I started.
Blank. Blank.
Let's go here, make a new line, and then we'll introduce another concept. These are instead rules, which trigger when you try to do something and basically block it. Or they block it by default unless you write blocks of code to do something, which I'll get into here in a little bit. So we'll say instead of going south from the antechamber, and then I'll add a colon.
Instead of going south from the antechamber, blank.
And press enter. We'll do say your task isn't complete, so you aren't going anywhere, and an exclamation mark just for extra emphasis.
Say your task isn't complete, so you aren't going anywhere. blank.
Now, at this point, I've written some stuff. Let me press F5 to test that it actually compiles.
Edit multi-line grader.
Okay. Now, pressing F5 will compile the game and run it inside Inform itself. You can test it. You can play it here. For a screen reader user, this is not the most efficient way to play these games because there is no automatic output for the speech. So if you want to read things, you have to use object navigation. In my case, I'm going to hold down caps lock and press the up arrow, excuse me, to go up by lines. If you're using it in desktop layout, numpad 7 goes to the prior line, numpad 8 reads the current line, numpad 9 goes down one line. Actually, I think I will use the numpad because I am using a regular keyboard right now on my desktop.
Blank. Palace is south, and this is Andy blank. Release 1 / and enter assass blank. You found a sword. Find up your blank 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 top blank 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 blank. Your brother tried to poison you, and in fact has nearly succeeded. You are only hours away from death if you can't find a cure. Fortunately, you were able to escape since he was such an idiot and thought you'd die immediately. And you found a sword. Why you find yourself in the chamber preparing to take him out.
And I have some spelling mistakes, which I will correct at some point before I actually publish this code.
Blank. Assassin example. An interactive fiction by Christopher Wright. Release 1 / serial number 240,723 / inform 7v10.1.2 / d. Blank. Andy chamber. This is a very boring chamber, and serves only as a buffer between the rest of the palace and the throne room. The palace is south, and the throne room is north. Blank. Greater. Bottom. Greater.
So actually, so this tells us that the game actually did compile, but I found some things that I need to fix and add. I do recommend that you periodically compile, because if you keep writing code and then you try to compile it and you have problems, it will get harder and harder to fix.
Panels tab control pane.
All right, so I'm going to hit Control F1
Edit multi-line section 1.
to get back to the code here.
Assassinate blank section 1 blank. Use memory. Use when say your brother tried. You can't find a cure. Fortunately.
And actually,
Immediate. Section 2. Immediately. Tab. Line feed.
why? Okay, there's a tab character after this. I'm gonna get
Tab.
rid of that.
Immediately. Blank. Section blank. Immediately. Line quote.
Okay,
Line
now
feed.
what I'm gonna do is actually turn this into a block of code. So in the when play begins rule.
You can't find. Say when play begins.
Oh wait,
Use the
actually let me
serial
go up here
When play begin. W.
to before the when play
Blank.
begins.
Use the serial blank.
And we'll
Line
add
feed.
a couple more lines here. So, or just one more here. The story headline is, and then I'll do quote. Let's just do an interactive assassination.
Assassination. S.
I can't spell.
Assis. S. A. N. Line feed.
Okay. And we'll do it like that.
Quote. When the story headline is an interactive assassination.
So this will change the banner to say an interactive assassination, then an interactive fiction, blah, 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 which is the default.
When play begins.
That's just a little headline feature that will print. So like if you're making a story, you know, about cowboys, you could say an interactive Western story, or I don't care. It doesn't matter, right? Like I said, the beauty of the medium is that you can do whatever you want.
Say your brother tried to poison you. You can't.
Now let's go back to this code here.
Section 2. Immediately. Line quote. Line feed.
With the introduction text, I'm going to add a semicolon to the end of the quotation here.
You can immediately, and you found a sword. Line semi quote dot t out him take him out u t o t dot quote semi line feed.
All right.
Semi,
Now I'm going to
line
make a
feed.
new line, and we'll give it some more instructions. Let's say now the command
E.
Now the command prompt is, quote, what now, question mark.
Blank. Now the command prompt is what now?
I'll press F5.
Unknown. Edit multi-line what now?
Okay, so my changes have taken effect. Now, a few things here. The line about the command prompt changes it from the greater than sign to what now, which I think makes it a bit more approachable. So if I read up here,
Blank. Palace is south, and the throne room is north. Blank. What now? Bottom. What now?
right? So now it says that after you type each command. Now if I go, let's just type N.
What now? Bottom. What now? Blank. You can't go that way. What now? N. Blank.
Oh wait, why'd that do that? Oh wait, let's try
Bottom. What blank. You can't go that way. What now? N.
Oh. Oh, because I didn't make the connection. I'm being a dum-dum. Let's go south.
Bottom. What now? Blank. Your task isn't what blank. What now? S. Your task isn't complete, so you aren't going anywhere. Blank. What now? Bottom. What now?
Yeah, I don't find this to be an efficient way to play this game. I think I'm gonna submit an issue on GitHub and see if the developer can add clipboard support so that when you're playing this in the Inform program itself, it can output to the clipboard, because there's an NVDA add-on that will read the contents of the clipboard.
Panels tab control.
All right, so let's hit Control F1. I keep hitting F6 and that doesn't work.
Blank. Now the command prompt is what now?
Okay.
Say your task isn't instead of going south from the the palace is south of the antechamber, throne room. The description is the antechamber. Blank. Section 2.
All right. Okay. So now we're gonna let's
blank.
make the throne room.
Quote blank.
Okay. The throne room is north of the antechamber. The description is this room is absolutely massive. Banners lined the walls, displaying all the battles of past rulers.
The description is his room is absolutely massive. The description is, quote, THIH.
And I need to...
Room is at math bank banner line. The wall, comma, displaying all the battles of past rulers. The B.
Displaying all the victorious...
B. Victorious.
I can't spell.
SB. Victorious. Battles. Past rulers. Blank.
The room is dominated by a large silver throne. Right, so there's the description for the throne room.
Quote blank.
Now I can hit F5.
Unknown. Edit multi-line what now?
If I go north by typing N.
Bottom. What now? Blank. Dominated by this throne blank. Throne room. This room is absolutely massive. Banners line the walls, displaying all the victorious battles of past rulers. He room is dominated by a large silver throne. Blank. What now? Bottom. What now?
Now the problem is these are just blank rooms right now. If I go back south.
Bottom. What now? Palace is south. This is a very boring chamber and serves only as a buffer between the rest of the palace. Panel tab control. Edit multi.
All right, actually you can press F6, which toggles between the code now and the game that's running.
Past rulers. Blank. Quote blank.
All right, so let's do something else here. Let's make things a little more interesting in the throne room.
Past rulers.
The banners are scenery.
Scenery. Blank.
In the throne room. The description of the banners is there are too many to list, but they all show glorious battles depicting how strong the various rulers have been. Right, so these are kind of lame descriptions. I think this is one of those things where if I were to make a game, I would want at least one sighted person to help me test it, because that person could probably help me refine some of these descriptions and perhaps make them more visually appealing.
Dot blank.
Right.
Quote T description of the banner tab T8E8.
And if I would quit adding capitals where they didn't need to be, that'd be a lot better.
The banners are scenery in the throne room. Tap the ups in the THR8. The banners are scenery in the throne room. The description of the banners is T. Here are too many to list, but they all show glorious battles, depicting how strong the various rulers have been. Strong the quote dot n dot
Have
quote
been over the ages. Why not?
S quote quote
Add a period.
dot age the o dot been dot space dot n strong the various quote blank.
Okay. Let's see if this will compile.
Unknown. Edit multi-line. What now?
Yep. Okay.
Panels tab control. Strong the very.
So
The description.
get
Blank.
rid of these
Tab.
character.
Blank.
Now we need to add some extra vocabulary. So when you're creating stuff, it's important to add as many vocabulary words as you can, so that a player can refer to things in a whole bunch of different ways. So understand.
D blank.
Understand, and then we'll put in quotation marks, banner,
Blank. R blank.
or I need to think of some more synonyms for banners. How about portrait or portraits as the banners?
Dot blank. Strong. The banners are scenery. Understand banner or portraits as the banners. Dot blank.
Let's compile. Make sure it compiles.
Edit multi-line. What now? What now? Panels tab. Understand. Dot blank.
So basically, scenery in most cases is exactly what you would expect. They are things in the environment that don't do anything but just add more, add to the scene. You can examine them, and you can do different things with them. It really depends on the author and how the author
Dot blank.
writes the game. Let's do one more here. The throne is
I.
a scenery supporter
The throne is a scenery supporter. Blank.
in the throne room.
Dot. The throne is a scenery supporter in the throne room. Dot. T-R-A-8. The throne. Dot. Blank.
Okay. The description,
Description. Blank. Blank.
and we'll just do
N.
the description of the throne is it's ridiculously oversized and encrusted with precious jewels.
The throne is a scenery supporter in the throne. The description of the throne is it's ridiculously oversized and encrusted with precious jewels. Dot. Blank.
Okay. So there you go.
The description of the throne is quote the blank quote blank.
And then we'll do understand. We'll say chair, chair or jewel or jewels or silver as the throne. This way the player can use any of those vocabulary words to refer to the throne.
Understand chair or jewel or jewels or silver as the throne.
Right?
Blank dot blank.
Now, I think that will do for this section, because we've basically made the map. Again, this is just
Panel stop
an
control.
example.
Report page.
Uh-oh, and that did not compile properly, so I need to figure out why. So if it doesn't compile properly, when you hit F5, you have to use object navigation. So I'm going to go down with numpad 0 and 2.
Translating the source document.
And then numpad 0 and 6.
Unknown unavailable. Grep unavailable. No objects inside. No objects inside.
Yeah, see, this is where the program is not as accessible. If you move the object navigation cursor around, you can see the message that it's printing. I'm going to see if I can
Panel
fix
stop
it
control.
myself.
Edit.
Hit F6.
Understand chair or jewel or jewels or silver as the throne. Dot. Quote. R. E. Quote. Or. Quote. Jewels. Or. Quote. Or. J. Quote.
Oh, that's why I was missing a quotation on jewels.
J. Quote.
Let's try this again here.
Panel stop control. Report. Panel stop. Understand chair. Quote. Chair. Quote. Or. Quote. Jewel. Quote. Or. Quote. Jewels. Quote. Or. Quote. Silver. Quote. As the throne. The description of the throne is its ridiculous. Quote. I. Line. Quote. Dot. Quote. Dot. S. Line. The throne is a scenery supporter in the throne room. T. Line. Dot. Room. R. Throne. T. Understand banner or portrait or port.
Okay, why won't you compile?
Panel stop.
Let me pause the recording real quick.
Welcome to Audacity.
I'll try to understand why it's not working. Okay, so the problem was it was getting confused between the location called the throne room and the object called the throne. And this is what can happen is even though that sentence, the throne is in the throne room, even though that seems logical to a human like you or me, to the program it has no idea what you're talking about because you already said that the throne room is a room, so it got confused. So I had to change the object name to chair, which of course means that you can call it a chair because that's what you've defined it as, and then I added throne as a vocabulary word so that you can call it that. So
Recording. Assess. The description of the chair is it's ridiculously oversized and the chair. Understand.
Right, so
the chair is a scenery supporter in the throne room. The description of the chair is it's ridiculously oversized and encrusted with precious jewels. Understand throne or jewel or jewels or silver as the chair. Understand throne. Dot. Blank.
So just some things to keep an eye on and to be mindful of. This is still a programming language, so things that would seem rational to a human trying to read this can make absolutely no sense to the computer.
Blank.
So just be aware of that. Now, I think that's going to do it for this part of the code. Let's get on to the more exciting stuff where we create some characters and items that the player has and makes things happen. So
Blank.
we're going to call it section 3. We'll call it gameplay.
Y. Play. E. Games. 3. G.
Make sure I put the dash in there.
Dash. G. Blank. Understand. Section 3. Blank. Y. Blank.
Okay, we'll make a new line here. Make sure it compiles.
Unknown. Edit multi-line. What now?
Okay, now let's add some extra stuff here. So right now we just have some rooms.
Panel stop control. Edit blank blank. Section 3 blank blank.
All right, let's give the player some stuff first of all. So let's see. The player
Blank.
The player carries a sword. The description of the sword is it's very heavy. But it will get the job done. Right?
Quote, the description of the sword is it's very heavy, but it will get the job done. Quote dot. Quote.
The blade looks very sharp. And this is definitely not a toy.
Quote blank. Definitely the description of the sword is it's very heavy, but it will get the job done. T blade looks very sharp and this definitely not a toy. D the and this definitely S D.
I'm missing an is.
D I the and shop very look like T dot T A E A T H.
Yeah, I do apologize if this seems a bit boring, but I'm trying to give you an idea of how you would actually write this. So just bear with me because people have asked me to do this demo, and as you can see, even for a relatively short game that's not very complicated, you can see that this is taking a bit of time.
626 definitely not a toy. Quote
Right,
blank.
so there's the description. Understand blade or weapon
And blank.
as the sword.
Understand blade or weapon as the sword.
So again, you can refer to it as the sword, the blade, or a weapon. Of course, you could add more.
Unknown. Edit multi.
You can add more vocabulary words. Okay, that compiled just
Panel
fine.
stab. Understand dot.
So far
blank.
my code's working fine. Let's see, what else should the player have? The player carries a gold coin.
The player carries a gold coin. Blank.
And you'll see why we have this in just a second, because this will be a demo of a puzzle.
Blank.
So let's see, the description
Description. Blank.
of the gold coin is it's very shiny, and you try to conceal
Cancel. So
it so you aren't robbed.
blank. Quote the description of the gold coin is it's very shiny, and you try to conceal it so you aren't robbed. You so it cancel so cancel
I can't spell conceal.
conceal
Oh,
blank.
there we go. I think I got it.
Quote
I'll have to
blank.
check in a little bit. So, like I said, these are lame descriptions, but again, just bear with me because this will compile into a game that you can actually play and win, even if it is a very basic game.
The description of the player carries a gold coin. The description blank.
Right. So, now if I let's see. Understand D blank. Understand gold or money as the gold coin.
Understand gold or money as the gold coin.
Compile.
Panels tab control report page.
And it failed.
Panels tab understand gold or money quote D quote O M space M
I missed some quotes on money.
quote M O N E Y quote A understand gold U
Let's hit F5 to run.
unknown edit multi bottom what now
There we go. So now if I press I, and then I read the output,
bottom what now blank a gold you are carrying a sword a gold coin.
if I type, let's type X money.
What now? Bottom blank. It's very shiny. What now? X money. It's very shiny, and you try to conceal it so you aren't robbed.
Of course, typing X or examine is short for, well, yeah, it's short for examine. If you're not familiar with interactive fiction, I highly recommend starting by playing a game called The Dreamhold. It is designed to be a tutorial game to introduce you to the basic concepts, but the basic idea is you type commands that usually take the form of a verb and then a noun. So like take coin, drop coin, I don't know, turn crank, pull something, push something, look in something, close something, open something, blah, blah, blah.
Panels tab control edit
So that's how you basically play these. So
understand gold or money dot blank.
right. So there's the stuff that the player has.
Blank.
Now let's give the player an obstacle. So So we'll say, and oh, you know what? I could have probably put the characters in the map portion of this code, but you know what? We'll just actually, yeah, let me do that. So I'm going to go back up here.
Dot blank dot n dot understand that is the under definite that is the plate blank section 3 blank understand throne or jewels or silver as the chair blank.
Okay, so let's
Line feed.
make this a bit cleaner here. So in the code for the throne room, I'm going to say the king is a man in the throne room.
Dot section the king is a man in the throne room. Line feed. Dot line feed. The king K line dot line E D N U.
The description of the king is
Quote line feed.
He's your older brother. He's your older brother.
Line feed.
He's your older brother and is a giant of a man. You'd hate to get into a fist fight
line
with him. Alright, so that's
Quote,
just that.
He description of T-A-E. The king is a man in the throne room. The description of the king is he's your older brother and is a giant of a man. You'd hate to get into a fist fight with him. Section 3 with him. Line feed.
Now,
Quote line feed.
let's add some vocabulary. Understand brother or man or monarch
Quote line
or tyrant as the king.
dot.
Right, so those are the different vocabulary words you can use.
Understand brother or man or monarch or tyrant as the king.
Let's see if this works.
Panels tab control.
Ah, crap.
Panels tab with him. Understand quote B quotes quote quote H quotes O quote T quote A S with him. Quote dot. The description of the king is quote H. The king is a man in the throne room. Line dot. Throne T. Understand throne or with him. Understand gold or money as the gold coin. The description of the gold coin is
Why didn't that work?
panels tab.
Let me pause again.
Audacity.
Okay, that didn't work because there wasn't a blank line after the statement concerning the king, because basically you have to have a blank line before and after a section title.
Understand brother or man.
Right, so if I go down from here,
Blank.
that's blank.
Section 3 gameplay. Understand brother or man or monarch or tyrant as the king with the king understand the description the chair understand house the band battles of the throne room. Say your task isn't complete. The throne room is north of the antechamber. Tab.
Okay, we're gonna go here.
Blank. Say your task. The throne room. Say your blank. Line feed.
And in the antechamber, let's add a guard. The guard is a man.
Man. Line feed. Line feed.
Oh, you know what? I could have added more vocabulary words to the king, like giant. I think I'll do that here in just a little bit.
The guard is a man. N. Line feed.
The guard is a man
N.
in the antechamber.
Dot. The throne room. The guard is a man in the antechamber. Line dot. Line.
The description of the guard is
Line feed.
he's a hulking brute of a man and means business.
Quote. Line feed. Bang. Quote.
He looks like he could break you in half without breaking a sweat.
Dot. Quote. You in half. The description of the guard is he's a hulking brute of a man and means business. He looks like he could break you in half without breaking a sweat.
Okay, and you'll see why we have this guard here in just a second. Now, the problem with characters, I think this is the hardest thing to do when you're making games like this, because by default, they just sit there like statues. So you have to write code to make them do things, to make them respond to things that the player does, and that is beyond the scope of this tutorial because this is already long enough as it is. But basically this will work for us because let's say this guard will block us from going into the throne room to kill the king, right? And in case you haven't caught on yet, the way to get past him is to bribe him with the coin because, well, why not?
The description of the guard is U in half without the throne room is tab.
All right, let's make
Blank.
some
U in
vocabulary
blank. Line
words. Understand
Quote line.
brute
Quote line.
or man
Quote line feet.
or hulk
Quote line.
or hulking as the guard.
You in understand root or man or hulk or hulking as the guard. The throne room is north of.
Let's see if this compiles. Oh, and I forgot.
Panel stab control. Edit mouth. U in half without breaking a sweat. Quote dot C dot quote understand. Quote understand quote brute quote or man quote or hulk R H.
And I missed a quotation mark
Quote H space quote
before hulk.
unknown. Edit multi-line. What now? Panel stab control. Edit.
Again, this is why you want to check your work and compile often.
U in half. The guard is a man in the antechamber.
All right, so here's our characters. Oh, I need to put some text here that will be displayed.
The description of the guard. The guard is a man in the antechamber. Line.
So right after
Dot line feed.
we write that, let's put on the same line in quotes. A massive man is leaning against the wall, looking incredibly bored.
Dot line feed. Dot line quote.
So now,
The guard is a man in the dot quote a massive man is leaning. The description of the guard is he's a hulking brute of a man and means business. He looks like he could break you in half without breaking a sweat.
let's add some text to the king here.
The chair is a scenery supporter in the throne room. The description of the chair. The king is a man in the throne room. Line feed. Dot line feed. Quote
Say
line feed.
for the king, your brother is here sitting on the throne and grinning smugly.
Quote line feed.
And smirking.
G line feed.
Just because.
G line feed.
Okay. Now if I compile.
Edit mouth bottom. What blank? A massive man is leaning against the wall, looking incredibly bored. Blank. Palace is south.
Now I can examine the guard.
What now? Bot blank. He's a hulking brute of a man. What now?
If I go north, he is not blocking me because I haven't written the code for that yet.
Bottom. What blank? Your brother is here, sitting on the throne and smirking.
Ex-brother.
Bottom. What now? Blank. He's your older brother and is a giant of a man. You'd hate to get into a fist fight with him. Panel stab control. Edit. Understand throne or jewel. The king is a man. The description with him. Understand brother or man or monarch or tyrant as the king. Dot king. The quote tyrant. Quote a.
Or giant.
Quote a. Quote with understand brother or you.
Alright, so I just added the
Edit multi-line. What now?
giant vocabulary
Panel stab
word.
control. Edit. Understand gold or money as the gold. Blank dot.
Now.
Blank.
Let's actually get on to some coding here to actually make things happen with these characters. So, the guard is going to stop me. So let's use some instead rules. Instead of going
North. Going. Blank. H. Blank.
Instead of going
A. N.
I wonder if I can write it like this. Instead of going
Instead of going. G. Blank.
to the throne room when in the presence of the guard, colon,
Co. Blank. Instead. Co. Blank.
say the guard
Blocks. Blank. Blank.
the guard blocks your path.
H. Blank.
And then if you want to put quotation marks in, like if characters are talking, you type an apostrophe like this. You're not going anywhere, you little punk! Exclamation mark.
Blank. 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 Blank.
I protect the king with my life.
Tick. Blank. Quote. Life. Say T he guard blocks your tap. Quote. T-H-E.
So you still have to put quotes around the statements to print, but you can put the apostrophes in there to tell people are talking.
Life.
Let's compile it.
Panel stab control. Report page. Panel stab. Life. Say the guard blocks your path. Your instead colon. Understand gold. Instead of going to the throne room when in the presence of the guard.
And I didn't write that right, so it didn't compile right.
Go to the throne. H-R-H.
The H should not be capitalized.
Panel stab control. Report page.
Why
Panel
isn't
stab.
this working?
Understand gold or money. Instead of going to the throne room when in the presence of the guard.
Hang on, let me pause again.
Audacity.
And once again, it was a pretty basic problem. I didn't need to have the word when in there. That was what was confusing it. Again.
Assess. Edit multi-line. What now? Panel stab. Understand. Instead of going to the throne room in the presence of the guard.
If you added when in the presence of the guard, again, that would make sense to you or me as humans, but not so much to the computer. So now if I hit F5.
Edit multi-line. Bottom. What now?
Now if I try to go north.
Bottom. What blank? The guard block. What blank? What now? N. The guard blocks your path. You're not going anywhere, you little punk. I protect the king with my life. What now? Bottom.
Let's
what now?
Try it again.
Blank. The guard blocks your path. You're not going anywhere, you little punk. I protect the king with my life. Panel stab control. Edit.
So, because of the way I have it configured right now, you could do it as many times as you wanted and you'd just get blocked. If you wanted to get more sophisticated, you could write some code in there that, you know, maybe after the third time you try to do that, the guard gets pissed off and kills you or kicks you out or throws you into a jail cell. It really just depends on what type of game you're making. But in this case, we're just going to leave it as is.
Life. Quote. Blank.
So, this guard says he protects the king with his life. We'll see about that, because he can be very easily bribed. Now let's work on the next portion of that code.
Life.
Actually, well, I could write some more statements, like if you try to kill the guard with the sword, it doesn't work and you die, or if you try to kill him with your bare hands. But to save on time, we're just not going to do that because it would take longer. But you can add as many conditional checks and things like that as you would like. And the more you do, the more realistic your game will be, and probably the more enjoyable the players will find it. Now, let me see.
Blank. Tab. Life. Blank. Blank.
Let's see if we can do this. So, instead of showing or giving the gold coin to the guard,
Blank. Instead of showing or giving the gold coin to the guard,
say,
quote. Blank.
The guard smiles. Or no.
Space DR.
The guard grins from ear to ear.
Blank. Blank.
This is my lucky day.
Blank. Blank.
Right. Wait.
Say the guard grins for tap. Air. Bang. Stick. T. Blank. Bang. Blank.
I never liked that douche.
E-H-C.
I never liked that douche in the first place. Thanks for the money.
Tick. Blank.
He walks away.
Walk. Blank.
Singing under his breath.
Dot. Breath. Hit. Singing.
Or no, humming.
G-U. Thanks for the money. Dot. Blank. Quote. Blank.
All right, now let me compile this. Let's see if I didn't have any errors here.
Unknown. Edit multi-line. What now? What now?
Okay, let's see if this will work. Give coin to guard.
Bottom. What now? Blank. Money. The guard grins from ear to bottom. What blank money? The guard grins from ear to ear.
Let's try show coin to guard. So I ran that command twice just to see if it would work.
Bottom. What blank money? The guard grins from ear to ear.
So right now it just prints that message. We need to actually make this code do something.
Panel stab. Thanks for the money. Quote blank.
So add a semicolon,
Blank.
which tells it that we're not done with code in the current block. Okay, let's say now the gold coin is nowhere.
Blank.
Semicolon.
Now the gold coin is nowhere. Blank.
Which basically means that it's nowhere and it's gone. And then we'll say now the guard is nowhere.
E blank. Dot. Now the guard is now her. Dot. Now O W E. Now her. O W H E H R A. Nowhere. Now the guard is nowhere. Tab.
So now if I compile.
Unknown. Edit mount. Bottom. What now?
Let's try going north.
Bottom. What blank? The guard blocks your path.
Give coin to guard.
Bottom. What now? Money. The guard grins from ear to ear. What now? Give coin to guard. The guard grins from ear to ear. This is my lucky day. I never liked that douche in the first place. Thanks for the money. He walks away humming under his breath. Blank. What now? Bottom.
Now if I go
What
north.
now? Blank. Your brother is blank, dominated by a large silver throne.
Right, see, so now I can travel north. If I walk back into the room here,
Bottom. Blank. Palace is south. And blank. What now?
the guards is gone. So it is possible to create objects and say, so you can create objects and characters and say that they're nowhere, which means that they're basically not in any of the rooms of the game world, but they can be if you want them to be at a specific time.
Panel stab control. Edit mount.
So here we go. So that's how you solve that puzzle. That was a pretty easy thing to solve, right?
Now dot blank.
But that's an example of how you would create a very basic puzzle.
Blank.
Now, let's work on the king. So,
Blank.
make a new line here. And let's do a few things here. Let's say instead of attacking the king when the player does not carry the sword,
Colon. Instead of attacking the king when the player does not carry the sword. Blank.
say
Quote blank. T.
you rush at the king and attempt to punch him
8.
in the face.
Dot blank blank.
He laughs at your pitiful
Blank.
efforts and punches you so hard in the chest that you fly backwards and feel something crunch.
Dot blank.
As the
8. Dot blank.
as everything fades to nothingness, your last thought is that you were a complete fool
Blank.
for challenging him.
Dot blank. Quote blank.
Put a semicolon.
Blank.
Now we'll say end the story saying you have failed.
Quote end the story saying why you have failed. Quote bang. Fail. Why you. You. 6:51 p.
Okay.
Nothing. End the story saying you have failed.
You have failed.
End. Quote bang. Blank.
Right, now
Quote blank.
let's see, what else can we do? Okay, so that should take care of that.
Blank.
So if you try to attack him when you don't have the sword,
Edit multi-line. What now? Bottom. What now?
if I go give coin to guard,
What now?
Then we go
Bottom
north.
blank. Your brother is here.
Kill king.
What now? Violence isn't the. What now? Kill king.
So that doesn't work because I have the sword. Now I drop it by typing drop sword.
Bottom. What blank dropped.
Kill king.
Bottom. Greater. Would you like to blank 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 star stars blank blank blank? Is that you were in the chest that you rush? What now? Kill king. You rush at the king and attempt to punch him in the face. He laughs at your pitiful efforts and punches you so hard in the chest that you fly backwards and feel something crunch. As everything fades to nothingness, your last thought is that you were a complete fool for challenging him. Blank 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 star star star. You have failed. Star 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 blank blank blank. Would you like to restart, restore saved game, quit, or undo the last command? Panel
Right,
stat
so
control.
that's that.
End the story saying nothingness. Your last thought is that you were a complete fool for challenging him. For challenge him. Dot.
For challenging him without a weapon.
And dot weapon without.
So that is an example of a conditional statement. If you don't carry the sword, this isn't going to happen.
Punches. Say you instead of attacking the king when the player does not carry the sword. Say you rush at the king and attempt to punch him in the face. End this blank quote blank.
Okay. Instead of
Blank.
attacking the king when the player carries the sword, colon,
Blank. Instead of blank.
say
Quote blank.
you rush forward and raise your sword. The two of you clash for a minute or so, but you were always the superior swordsman. So you overpower.
Blank. Say you rush forward and raise your sword. Teehee, two of you clash. You start. Teehee. 8 E. Always the superior swordsman. So you overpower. Always the superior. You. Oh.
So you eventually
Overpower. Blank. Blank.
your brother and run him through the heart. He gasps and topples backwards, falling to the floor in a bloody
Y.
heap.
Dot heap. Gasps and topples. Dot blank.
You wait a few minutes and confirm he is in fact dead.
Dot blank. Quote.
So that's just the message.
Gasps. Always say you rush forward and raise your sword. Tap tap tap. FAY. Instead of attack.
Now it's putting these tab characters in here because it is indenting. Make sure that it's compiling.
Unknown.
Yes, it is.
Edit multi-line. What now?
Indentation is important for some things, especially if statements, which I'm not going to talk about because that's a little more complicated. Well, what I will say is if you turn on NVDA's indent navigation or indentation indicator, it will play tones or tell you how far you've gone.
Panel stat
But
control.
in this exercise, I'm not going to worry about that too much. If people have questions, I can try to explain it. But I don't, like I said, this is already pretty long as it is, but we're almost done here.
Fact add. Quote blank.
So there's the message that prints
Semi.
after you kill the king.
Blank. Always the superior.
Now we're going to say, now the king is nowhere.
Dot blank blank dot E. Semi blank.
And then we'll say, now the corpse
E blank.
is in the location.
Dot blank. Now the king is now her. Line sim now her is S N O double E. A double O N double E. Now her W 8 E 8 R 8 nowhere double E semi. Now the corpse is in the location. Now dot blank.
So there's probably a better way to do this, but the way I do it, you take the king character that we made, take him off stage basically, so that he's just gone. He's nowhere. and then you put the corpse, which I actually need to define earlier in the code, which I forgot to do.
Now the corpse is in the location. Dot blank.
So basically, you kill the king. It checks to make sure that you have the sword. It prints the message. The king disappears, and you get a corpse, which is basically his body. Again, there are probably better ways to do it. Like I said, I'm probably not the best informed coder, but this will work. So
Now the king is nowhere. Fact dead. Gap always say you rush instead end the story. Nothingness punches you so hard in the chest that say instead of attack.
oh yeah, and I should probably also write some more logic when the king is alive to keep you from messing with the throne.
Now the guard is nowhere. Now the gold coin is nowhere. Thanks for the money.
me go back
The
up
description
here.
of the sword is its the blank section blank. Understand brother or man with him. The description of the king is he's with blank section understand blank
Right,
line
so
feed.
let's just here we'll say the corpse is nowhere.
Dot now her OWEH now OWHR nowhere section the corpse is nowhere line dot section F blank the corpse is blank section F
Let's make some blank
blank
lines.
blank the corpse is nowhere
Okay, corpse is nowhere.
blank line feed
Now we'll say the description of the corpse is
line quote line feed
the king is finally dead.
bang line feed bang line
And will no longer bother anyone.
bang line feed
And
the corpse is nowhere. The description of the corpse is the king is finally dead and will no longer bother anyone. Quote bang and bob no, and bang space bang d a blank blank. The description of the corpse is blank line feed
say understand king
quote g line quote
king or
line
body
quote line
or brother
quote line that understand king or body or brother line quote r quote line feed
or cadaver
cadaver line quote line
as the corpse.
dot the description understand king or body or brother or cadaver as the corpse blank line
Instead of doing anything other than examining
line
to the corpse,
colon line feed colon blank
It's 7 o'clock p.m.
yeah, I know I've been going at this for quite a while, but I promise you we are almost done.
instead of doing anything other than examining to the corpse say what line feed
Okay, say
quote line feed
you don't want to touch him right now. There will be plenty of time for cleanup and celebration
line
later.
quote instead of doing anything other than examining to the corpse
So as you can probably guess, this instead command basically prints this message if you try to do anything else other than examine the king's body.
say you don't want to touch him right now. Here will be plenty of time for cleanup and celebration later.
Let's see if this compiles, because I was writing a little bit.
Unknown. Edit multi-line what now? Panel stop instead of doing anything other than examining to the corpse. Say you blank.
Okay. And right. So that's that. We should probably get his crown too.
Blank. Section. Say you don't blank.
So we're gonna make a couple more objects here.
Line feed.
The crown is nowhere.
Dot. Say the crown is nowhere. Blank. Line.
The description of the crown is
Quote line feed.
it's a large golden crown, and now it's yours.
Bang. Line. Quote, the crown is nowhere. T. He description. E. The description of the crown is it's a large golden crown, and now it's yours. Section 3. F. The description blank. Line feet. The crown is nowhere. The description of the crown. Understand.
Understand.
D. Line.
Large.
Line.
Or gold. Or golden.
Quote line.
As the crown.
Dot blank. Understand large or gold or golden as the crown.
Just adding some more vocabulary words.
Unknown. Edit multi-line. What now? Panel stat. The description. Understand large or gold or golden as the crown. Blank.
And
Line
we'll
feed.
say it is wearable.
Dot. It is wearable.
Which means that the player can wear it.
Unknown. Edit multi-line. What now? Panel stat. Understand. It is wearable. Blank. Section. Blank. It is wearable. Blank. Line feed.
We'll say the antidote.
Antidote. N-T-I-T-O-T-I-O. Antidote. N-T-I-D-O-D-E-D. Antidote. N-T-I-D-O-T-E. Line feed.
The antidote is nowhere.
Dot. Section 3. F. Blank. The antidote is nowhere. Blank. Line feed. H. The blank.
The description of the antidote.
Antidote. Antidote.
I can't spell.
Antidote. The antidote is nowhere. The description of the antidote. Line feed. E. Line
Actually,
feed. The antidote. E. A.
Let's call it poison.
N. A. Poison. Antidote is.
Poison antidote is nowhere.
The description of the antidote. The. A.
Poison.
N. A. Poison. Antidote. Blank. Blank. The description of the poison antidote. Line feed. E. C. E. Line. E. Line feed.
Is.
Quote line feed.
That ass had the cure all along and was.
D. N. S. G. N.
Oh no, just had the cure all along. It's a glass vial full of green liquid.
Dot. Liquid. Green. Dot. Line. Quote.
Okay. We'll get into how to set this up in just a little bit here.
Blank. Blank. The description of the poison antidote is that ass had the cure all along. It's a glass vial full of green liquid. Blank.
And again,
Line
we'll
feed.
make some vocabulary words. Understand. Vial
Understand file. Quote line.
or glass
Quote line. Space. Quote. Line.
or bottle or green or liquid as the poison
A.
antidote.
Dot. Blank. Blank. Understand vial or glass or bottle or green or liquid as the poison antidote. Unknown. Edit
It's
multi-line. What now?
7:05 p.m.
Oh yeah, I forgot I had that.
Panel stab control.
Well,
Edit
you know what? This is helping me keep track of time, so I think we're good. I do apologize for how long this is taking.
the description of the poison antidote. Understand vial or
So there's all the objects that we'll need, I'm pretty sure. So now, what we need to do.
blank blank blank. Section 3. Gameplay. F line under the section F blank. Understand vial or glass or blank. Section 3.
You know, should I add some lines about the king? Let's see.
The description of the corpse is the with him. The description of the king is he's your older brother. With understand brother or man or mom. The corpse is nowhere. T. Understand blank line feet.
How about instead of doing anything other than examining
Line
to the chair,
colon line blank
say
quote line feed. G N A K E A T quote Y
say
Y line feed. Tick line feed.
leave it alone.
Bang line
It's mine.
bang line feed. Tick line feed.
Snaps the king.
G line feed. Dot line feed.
Wait.
W. Space dot tick, line feet, tick, space, dot, G, dot, line, quote, instead of doing, say leave it alone. F.
Okay, let's see if this will compile.
Panel stop,
Oh, crap.
panel stop, instead of doing anything other than examining to the chair. Understand, brother, or instead, line, colon.
In the presence of the king.
G, colon, say leave, F, A, Y, tick, L, tick, Y, space, tick.
Oh, I'm missing quotes.
Quote, instead of doing anything other than examining to the chair in the presence of the king. Unknown, edit multi-line, bottom, what now?
There we go. So that should put a condition in place where you can't do anything with the throne until the king's gone.
Panel stop, control, edit, understand, instead of doing anything, say leave it alone. It's mine, snaps the king. Blank, the corpse is nowhere. The description of the corpse, now the corpse is in the location. Now the king is nowhere. Now, dot, blank.
Okay. Let's add a few more things
Blank.
here. After examining the corpse, so now we're using an after rule, which happens after an action takes place. So
After examining the corpse, E, blank.
after examining the corpse for the first time,
After examining the corpse for the first time, blank.
so basically you're going to examine his body and see the items that were hidden that he had on him, and this is how you do it. So
After examining the corpse for the first time, blank, tab. After, blank, tab, blank, tab, tab,
well,
blank.
there's all these tab characters.
After examining, now the corpse is in, tab, O, tab. After examining the corpse, blank, blank.
Yeah, the tab structure is a little messed up on this, but I think it'll still work.
Blank.
So
After examining the, blank, blank,
say
quote, blank.
you discover a small vial of
Licks, X, L,
green
N, F, lick, blank, D, blank.
in one of his pockets and snatch the crown from his head.
Dot, blank. Quote, blank.
Okay?
After examining the, say you discover a small vial of green liquid in one of his pockets, and snatch the crown from his head. Dot, hit, crown, the, snatch, select. 8, C, snatch, semi, blank.
Now the player carries the crown and antidote.
Dot, antidote, D, A,
Oh, poison
N, A, point, and,
antidote.
E, dot, antidote, N, E, dot, antidote. Now the player can,
See if this compiles.
panel stop, control, report page.
Uh-oh.
Audacity,
Let's see what's wrong with this now. Hold on a second. Okay, so I had to make those two statements, not just one with an and, because, again, it got confused. So this is the thing that I want to keep driving home. A phrase that would make sense to a human does not necessarily make sense to this thing.
Assassin example dot informs blank. Now the player carries the poison.
So now we
antidote.
have-
Now the player carries the crown. Say you discover a small vial of green blank blank.
Okay, so now the player has these things. Let's now work on actually winning the game. So I have one way to lose the game, and well, actually there's a couple ways to lose the game and one way to win it.
Blank.
So let's introduce one more concept here. How about poisoned is a scene.
Dot. Poisoned is a scene. Dot blank.
Poisoned begins when play begins.
New. Dot. Poison begins when dot blank.
Poison ends.
Poison begins when E.D. Poisoned is a scene.
Oh, poisoned is a scene.
Poison begins when play begins.
Poisoned begins when play begins.
Poison ends. Space. Poisoned. N blank. S blank.
Ends when the player is well.
Dot blank. Poisoned ends.
Okay, now scenes are basically ways to make things happen. You can structure scenes or use them to make things happen in your stories in different ways. And actually, I'm not doing this the proper way. Let me go back up here.
Now the player carries the crown. Now poisoned is a scene. Now blank.
Before I talk about the poison scene, I need to add a property to the game that basically says that the player is either well or sick. So we'll write
T.
A person can be well or sick.
Line.
A person is usually well. So this introduces a variable that applies to people. So this could be the player, me, or the other two characters I have made. And as you can imagine, you can do quite a lot of things with these. You could trigger them in all kinds of ways, like maybe if you find some food, you could get poisoned after you tried to eat it, or you could create a scene where a character does something to you and then you're poisoned. So the possibilities are pretty much up to your imagination. So we have
a person. Now the player carries the poison. A person can be well or sick. A person is usually well.
Now,
poisoned is a scene. Poison begins when play begins. Poisoned ends when the player is well. Poisoned ends when the play blank.
Okay. When play begins, now the player is sick.
Now the player is sick. Blank.
Okay. See if this compiles.
Edit multi-line. What now? Panel stop. Now the blank.
Now let's do something else here.
Blank.
Because I've set this up right now, it doesn't do anything. It's just a property, or it's just a value that is stored and can change.
Blank.
Oh.
Blank.
Before I do that though.
When play begins, now the player is sick.
Yeah.
Now
see,
this
code is not the most organized. I could have probably done a better job at organizing this, but we need to add one more thing here to the poison antidote. After drinking
blank.
the poison
Blank.
poison antidote.
Antidote.
Why can I never spell that?
Antidote. Now, poison. Now the player carries the crown. Now the player carries the poison antidote. After drinking the poison antidote. Blank.
Okay, so we're going to use an after rule. After drinking the poison antidote.
Blank.
Say.
Blank.
You down the antidote.
Antidote. Antidote. Blank.
In a single gulp and immediately feel much better.
Say you down. Blank. Blank.
Now the player is well.
Well. Say after. Now when play poisoned ends when the player is well. Now the player is well. Say you down the antidote is a single gulp and immediately tap. Say you down the is selected. In
a single
gulp.
Let's see if this compiles.
Edit multi-line. What now?
Okay, so yeah, so this does work. So
panel stop control. Edit now the blank.
So that's how that works. Now, so basically, you have to kill the king, get the antidote, and drink it before you die.
Blank.
Let's write the code that makes you die. So let's say every turn.
Every turn and blank.
This is an every turn that, or this is an every turn rule, which will trigger at every turn as long as a particular scene, in this case, poisoned, is happening.
Every turn during. Blank. G. Blank.
So I'll write every turn during poison.
D. When poisoned ends when the every turn during poisoned. Blank. D. Blank.
And
Now the every tab V every D blank colon blank.
And then we'll say if poison
F
if poisoned
blank D blank
has been happening
been blank
for exactly, let's say
5 blank
5 turns,
blank
say
quote blank
you feel very dizzy.
say tap a quote y say you space dot blank
You need to figure out how to get rid of the poison before it's too late.
dot blank quote late. Panels tab control report page.
And okay,
Panels tab late.
this is where indentation becomes important because we have if statements.
Say you if poison has been happening for exactly 5 turns. Every turn during poison. Tap turn poisoned. If poison has been poisoned. Every turn now the player is well. Tab every turn tab V tap now every turn during poison.
I'm gonna get rid of these tab characters before or at this every turn rule because we need to reformat the next 2 lines.
If poison has been happening tab I tab every if poison has been happening for exactly 5 turns. Tab
So I put a single tab character before the if statement.
I say you feel very tab F tab if say tab F
And 2 after the say statement. Let's see if this compiles.
unknown edit multi-line what now?
Yeah, so indentation matters particularly with if statements, so you have to be very, very careful.
Panels tab control edit say you feel very dizzy. Why you need to figure out how to get rid of the poison before it's too late. Quote dot let to it before point the get to how out figure to need why you y in say you feel very quote blank.
Okay, so that's after 5 turns, which I think would translate to like 5 or 6, because I think when you start the game, it starts at turn 0. Basically, a turn is a measurement of time in the game. Every time you perform an action or do something, basically, or like travel, it uses a turn and time passes. You can also type Z or wait, and time will just pass, and you'll do nothing.
Say you feel very quote blank.
Let's add a couple more statements here.
Say if poison. Say you if every turn during poison. Blank tab blank say blank.
Every turn during poisoned
blank D blank
colon
blank
if poisoned
D blank
has been happening for exactly, let's say, 15
Y 5 blank 1
now let's try 12 turns
12 blank 2 blank
for exactly 12 turns.
blank
Say
Y blank if tab I say tab F
okay, the indentation is correct.
say Y blank
The
X E
nauseous
blank
feeling is getting even worse.
Rose
You're running out of time.
blank
So these are just helpful messages that print if you continue to do nothing about the condition.
If poison has been happening for exactly 12 turns, every turn during say you feel if poison has been happening for exactly 5 turns. Say nauseous feeling tab say quote THEN.
Now, because of how basic this game is, I'm probably giving you too much time, But again, this is an example, and you can practice with it and do things.
Say the nauseous feeling is getting even worse. Why you are running out of time. Quote bang. Out running. White dot. What? You. Oh. What? You. Say. Quote. Blank.
Okay.
Blank. Tab. Say blank. Blank.
Every turn during poisoned.
Every turn during poison.
If poisoned
blank D blank
has been happening for exactly
blank
let's say
blank
18
blank
turns.
Blank.
Say you suddenly lose all control over your body and collapse to the ground, convulsing in horrible pain.
Blank.
You realize you've waited too long and it's too late for you.
Blank.
Your last thought, sorry, that's Discord going off.
Pain. Why you realize you're waited pain. Why you you pain. You realize you're waited too long and it's too you're waited space tick stop pain. You realize you've waited too long and it's too late for you. Why our last thought? Why your last thought blank blank.
Your last thought.
That it thought your dot you for you dot your last thought is that space C blank.
Is that you'll never have the chance to be king.
Blank. Quote. Blank.
Okay, we had a semicolon because we're not done.
You realize you've waited.
And then we'll say,
blank.
End the story by saying,
quote, blank.
You died from the poison.
End the story by saying you died from the poison. Blank. Blank. Quote. End the story by.
Let's see if this compiles.
Panels tab control report pay panels. End the story chance to be king pain. You say you tap F A quote Y chance to end the story chant line quote dot G dot quote. End the story by tap E N. End the chance to be pain. Say you suddenly lose if poison has been happening to tap I. Say you suddenly tap F pain. You real chance to be end the story by tap E.
I think I need 3 tabs here at the end.
Panels tab control report
crap.
Panels tab end the story by saying you died from the tab in the story. By say by so
wait.
End the story tab.
Oh,
Panels tab
I need to get rid of the word by.
Panels tab end the story saying you tap E tab.
And get rid of the
End the story saying you
third
tab.
tab, so there's just
Tab
2 tabs there.
Unknown. Edit multi-line. What now?
So, if I did that right, you should be basically running off of a timer. If you don't get yourself cured in time, you'll die and the game is over. Fortunately, it should be more than enough time to complete your mission.
Panels tab control. Edit end the story. Quote blank.
Now, let's do one last chunk of code here. Let's say
Blank,
I need
tab,
to get rid of
tab.
these tab characters.
End blank blank blank.
If the player... Okay, I don't know if this is going to work because I've never tried this before, but basically the last statement I want to do and the last check for this game is if the player is well, if the player wears the crown, and the player is on the throne, the game should end. So let's see if I can make this happen. So
If the player space R blank.
if the player is well and the player wears the crown and the player is on the throne.
Throne.
Or no, chair, because that's what we called the object.
R blank. If the player is well and the player wears the crown and the player is on the chair. Blank. R blank. Co blank.
Okay. Say you gleefully jump onto the throne and bask in your victory.
Blank. Blank.
You are now the king of the land.
Bang. Land. Say you gleefully jump onto the throne. Bang. Blank. Quote. Blank. Blank. Quote. Blank.
Okay.
Tab. Line feed. Quote. Quote. Blank. Semi.
End the
Say in the tab. In blank e. 8 e blank.
end the story finally,
Finally. Blank. Y blank.
saying
Quote blank.
you have won.
Quote. End the story finally saying you. Panel tab control. Report page.
Okay, I need to figure out why it's not working. Give me just a sec.
Audacity. Track view.
Okay, so I fixed it. I had to write an every turn rule.
End the story saying you died from every turn. If the player is well and the player wears the crown and the player is on the chair. Say you gleefully jump onto the throne and bask in your victory. You are now the king of the land. End the story finally saying you have won. End the story finally saying.
And of course, I had to make sure that the indentation was correct. So basically, that last rule checks to make sure that all those conditions are true. If they are, then the game is won and it's over. So let me actually go through this one more time real quick and look at some stuff, and then we'll play through it.
Audacity.
All right, so let me show you how to release the game
Assassin example.
and things like that. Actually, I do want to do something real quick. Well, I'll get to that in just a second. So if you hit Control R, it will release the game.
Save the story for release dialog. File name. Combo box collapsed. Edit selected assassin example.z8.
Okay, because I'm saving it in this format, it asks me where I want to save the file.
Blank a z dot
Let's just call this assassin.z8.
e dot e f p n a f e space n dot a s a s i n dot assassin dot z8. Save button. Up address. Downloads toolbar.
We'll save it in downloads.
Up save assassin example dot inform panels tab control report page.
And it's done. Now if I press F6,
Panels tab control edit assassin example by Christopher Wright.
now I do want to do one more thing. Let's also release the game with a web interpreter, so that if you don't have an interpreter program, you can still play it inside your browser. So I'm going to go back to section 1 here.
Blank section 1 out of world blank use memory economy.
Let's right above that.
Use blank use memory economy blank line feed.
Let's do release along with an interpreter.
Dot blank section blank release along with an interpreter.
Now to make this work properly, you need to save it as a blorb file. So I'm going to hit Control F8.
Settings dialog version story Z code version 8 bind up into a blorb file on release checked.
I'm going to check that. And now hit Control F1
Edit multi-line release along
to
with
go back to the source, and we'll hit Control R to release. And
panels tab control report page.
should be done.
Panels tab control edit multi-line release along with
So from Inform, you can hit Control Shift M.
assassin example dot materials items view list date modified type date name split status today grouping selected to release.
It puts a folder in here
Decorate.
called Release.
Items view list today grouping default cover.jpg assassin example dot blorb index.html play.html small cover.jpg style.css interpreter.
There's some
They created
folders in here.
play.html type.
It puts default artwork in here. I'm not well versed in how artwork works, so if I do make a game, I'll probably need someone to help me come up with some decent graphics. But if you run play.html,
Select an app to open this .html list. Microsoft suggested Brave. Microsoft Firefox new browse choose an always button release
we'll launch it with
Christopher Wright
Firefox.
assassin example play Mozilla Fire link cover assassin example link home page loading link home page loading link parchment for inform loading link parchment for inform 7 2022.8 cover link home page parchment for inform 7 browser tab Christopher Wright loading.
Okay, I'm not sure why it's loading like that. It should play.
Release items interpreter items e.js assassin example.explore.js jquery.min.js main.js parchment.css quikes.js resource map.js waiting.gif zvm.js items.
Well, that's what it's supposed to do. I'm not sure why it's not working, but we'll just leave that for right now. If I open up Lectrote, which, as I said, it's an IF interpreter that you can run on Mac OS, Windows, Linux, and it's Electron based, so you can run it. You can run a whole bunch of different game formats on it.
Release.
Let's do
assassin example.inform. Inform.
Let me close Inform itself.
Audacity. Track recording.
And I'm recording.
Documents. Leak.trot 1. Items. Leak.txt.
Let's run.
Leak.trot. About leak.
It's
1.4.
Okay, so I'm going to run Lectrote. I'm going to go to Open.
License. Open game link. Select an if game file dialog. Items. Today group tree view. Items view.
And I think I called it.
Select assassin.z8. Edit blank.
Okay. Now, I recommend for the best experience, you put NVDA into sleep mode in laptop layout. I believe that is NVDA Shift Z.
Sleep mode on.
I forget what desktop is. I'm going to type restart to restart the game.
Are you sure you want to restart?
Yes.
Your brother tried to poison you, and in fact has nearly succeeded. You are only hours away from death if you can't find a cure. Fortunately, you were able to escape since he was such an idiot and thought you'd die immediately, and you found a sword. Why you find yourself in the chamber preparing to take him out. Assassin example and interactive assassination. By Christopher Wright release 1/serial number 240,723/inform 7v10.1.2 Anti-chamber. This is a very boring chamber, and serves only as a buffer between the rest of the palace and the throne room. The palace is south, and the throne room is north. A massive man is leaning against the wall, looking incredibly bored. What now?
So here we are. Now I'm playing the game, and as you can see, there's still some stuff I have to clean up.
Your task isn't complete, so you aren't going anywhere. What now?
Okay, I can't leave. Let's see what I have. I'll do I.
You are carrying a sorted gold coin. What now?
X money.
It's very shiny, and you try to conceal it so you aren't robbed. What now?
X sword.
It's very heavy, but it will get the job done. The blade looks very sharp, and this is definitely not a toy. What now?
Now, if I had put in checks, I could type kill guard.
Violence isn't the answer to this one. What now?
That's the default answer.
The guard blocks your path. You're not going anywhere, you little punk. I protect the king with my life. You feel very dizzy. You need to figure out how to get rid of the poison before it's too late. What now?
Oh, yep, see, and the timer is in place. Give coin to guard.
The guard grins from ear to ear. This is my lucky day. I never liked that douche in the first place. Thanks for the money. He walks away humming under his breath. What now? Throne room. This room is absolutely massive. Banners line the walls, displaying all the victorious battles of past rulers. Tee room is dominated by a large silver throne. Your brother is here, sitting on the throne and smirking. What now?
Let's examine the banner.
Here are too many to list, but they all show glorious battles, depicting how strong the various rulers have been over the ages. What now?
Let's kill the king.
You rush forward and raise your sword. The two of you clash for a minute or so, but you were always the superior swordsman, so you eventually overpower your brother and run him through the heart. He gasps and topples backwards, falling to the floor in a bloody heap. Why you wait a few minutes and confirm he is in fact dead. What now?
Oh, and you know what I should do?
Throne room. This room is absolutely massive. Banners line the walls, displaying all the victorious battles of past rulers. Tee room is dominated by a large silver throne. You can see a corpse here. What now?
So it says you can see a corpse here. I think what I'll do before I release the code, you can, I believe it's called the initial appearance of an item. Basically, you can change the way that it prints text. So, like, instead of saying you can see a corpse here, you could have it say the corpse of the king is lying in a bloody heap on the floor, which I think I will go change that before this is actually ready to be released to the public. So let's examine the corpse and see if this works.
The king is finally dead and will no longer bother anyone. You discover a small vial of green liquid in one of his pockets and snatch the crown from his head. What now?
And if I press type G to repeat the same command, or type again.
The king is finally dead and will no longer bother anyone. The nauseous feeling is getting even worse. You're running out of time. What now?
And just to show you something here.
You are carrying a poison antidote, a crown, a sword. What now?
Wear the crown.
You put on the crown. What now?
Now if I wait one more time, I think I'll die.
Time passes. What now? Time passes. What now? Time passes. What now?
Actually, I have a bit of time left.
Time passes. You suddenly lose all control over your body and collapse to the ground, convulsing in horrible pain. You realize you've waited too long and it's too late for you. Your last thought is that you'll never have the chance to be king. Star star star, you died from the poison. Star star star, would you like to restart, restore a saved game, quit, or undo the last command? Greater.
Now if I try to type again.
Please give one of the answers above. Would you like to restart,
I'll
restore
type
saved
undo.
game, quit, or undo the last command? Greater. Throne room, previous turn undone. What now?
Drink the vial.
There's nothing suitable to drink here. You suddenly lose all control over your body and collapse to the ground, convulsing in horrible pain. You realize you've waited too long and it's too late for you. Your last thought is that you'll never have the chance to be king. Star star star, sleep mode off. Update. Please give one of the answers.
Undo.
Throne room, previous.
Drink vial.
There's nothing suitable to drink here. You suddenly lose all control over your body and collapse to the ground. Leak trot 1.
That is a bug. So I think I need to change that after rule to an instead rule, because after only triggers after the action is successful, and I didn't code it right. So I'll have to make some changes to the code. But as you can tell, that's how you do it. It takes a bit of time to get used to. Hopefully this has helped, and of course if you guys have any questions, let me know.
Audacity.
Make sure I'm still recording.
Recording.
But as you can see, my game, it pretty much works. I think if I correct that bug, you should be able to win it. And of course, even if that bug is fixed, there's probably some other bugs that I haven't found, because the player can type pretty much anything, so it might be possible to get the game into a state where, well, I mean, yeah, I guess you could, because like if you drop the vial and then you took too long trying to find it, you would fail. So it's, like I said, this is an example, and there will be bugs, because anything made by humans will have bugs. But anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed, and hopefully this will help you get started. So happy writing, and yeah, you guys take care.